Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Naftali Wolfish.
From where?
Sick.
The hell I give a sake. I spent 2 years of my life in that place. Givaldik. The screens are not on, okay. We'll get them on. Who else? Kasriel is still here. Yeah. Came last night. Unbelievable. Today's kids theme. Last night, 2 young kids came, and the father gave me this note. I have this note at home now. It says, "La'aba hayakar, rotzeh lelechet l'shiur shel Eli Stefansky, b'hava Moishi." Little kid. So his father brought him here, like till 11 o'clock at night. It was like took him a month to get here, but they're here. This is from Shuki. What? No, this is not him. Shuki Yakovson from Beitar. He says he waits for the share every day, but also his little kid, 2-year-old, every time he says, "What song should I put on?" He says, "I want to hear the song." So here goes, Rabbi Isai. Erev Tov, Rabbi Isai. And another kid, another 2-year-old, although I don't always finish the daf, you never fail to infuse my day with simcha sachaim and love for every Jew. Attaches a video of my 2-year-old daughter getting involved. Okay. Yosef Schreiber, the famous Yosef Schreiber, Josh Schreiber's father, used to come a lot here. I just heard from my wife that when she served on a grand jury in New York State, there were 23 grand jurors. Hard to believe that this number is a coincidence. Today you mentioned Yosef Meshisa and Shir, the guy that went into the Beis Hamikdash, took out the menorah. Somebody else wrote this as well, but it doesn't hurt. He says he heard from his Rav Elbaum. I did? In English? Gewaldik. This is... No, we got to know. You know, I'll tell you what the Elam didn't tell me, but that's coming up soon. This is Hillel Boyer. Hillel Boyer never made a siyum until he joined MDY 3 years ago. And, you know, I used to talk, I haven't mentioned it in a long time, but you could tell if a person never made a siyum before, if he could say, "Hisi sichecha," real quick. So here he goes, "Vakitzoysa hisi sichecha." So he finished with us over 12 Mesechtes, Yishkoyach Hillel. She go from Chayil, this is on Baba Basra, Vakitzoysa hisi sichecha. Yes. Kvoida Raveli. In the English year on Friday, you finished on Sharfraf Lahadim Raglov. On Motzi Shabbos, you started the English year on Omer Le'ahu Mina. There are about 4 lines of Gemara that were skipped between them. That's a real boo-boo. Nobody mentioned it, and I only got 1 email about it. I double-checked just now on the video. I noticed that at the time, but I was not sure about it because of the Hebrew share. In the Hebrew share, I did it. In the English, not. Apologies. Hope this helps. Baruch Burger. So our boys say, we're going to go back. It's going to be Geschmack, because we have a little bit of Agadah today. Those 4 lines. Enjoy. What does it say over here? Oh, let me just read this real quickly from Sean Zeitlin. Unfortunately, this has been a very tough year. I was diagnosed with some terrible things. I've spent the past year in and out of hospitals, tests, treatments, and more tests. I just started with Sanhedrin, but knew the signs from years ago. I'm only 45 and have 4 younger children. There were a few nights where I literally didn't know if I would wake up, and all night I couldn't breathe, heart racing, etc. I told my wife in the morning last night, I told Hashem that the ruling in Bezdin Lamata is you can't let the guests carry on at night. I expect Bezdin Lamala to at least have the same level of Rachmanis. If I'm guilty of something and you want to take me, the verdict is still pending, I guess, but hopefully you can find some good aidim for me and to recount the original testimony. Mirza Hashem will have good news and continue to learn the daf with you for many years to come. Amen. Refuah Shelaima. Molandi sent us in. Shmuel Greenblatt from Muncie, New York, learning the daf with the Rebelli before Shachris. Thank you for Birkas Kehanim today. I don't know what that is. Oh, and here, Refuah Shelaima for Yosef Chaim, Shmuel ben Alte Nechama from his grateful family, the Masechta sponsor for Tzlach Beruknis, Begashmiyos, Masechta, Larry Cohn, in memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim, V'yet, who started learning daf at age 70. Masechta, for the unity of the Jewish people, the Masechta Glenn Esterson, with love and gratitude from Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for enriching my life with Torah. Parnassa chodesh. Leilui Nishmat Zechariah ben Moshe, Leilui Nishmat Zechariah ben Yosef. Chodesh, as zechus for our children, tremendous parnassa, Parnassa chodesh. Leilui Nishmat, Yaffa Simcha, Refuah Shelaima, Yaakov ben Malka. Parnassa chodesh, zechus, parnassa berevach for Baruch Tzvi Nissen ben Shoshana Leah. Parnassa chodesh, Kidnovations LLC in honor of Uncle Elchanan Fishel. Zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga, shidduch for Refuah Yaffa, and thank you to Rebbitzen Stefansky. Parnassa Shavua, Yitzi Hollander, in honor of our oldest grandson, Shua's Upshare, may grow in Torah and Midas. Parnassa Yoim, Shimon Newman, Leilui Nishmat, Refuah Ben Chaim, Yosef Newman, Oy Vey. You remember Yosef Newman? He was like in his 30s, right here in Bet Shemesh. It's 2 years already. Yosef Newman, he's a big tzaddik. Second yahrzeit, was part of MDY. Art of the month for zechus for Rebelli and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many, and Art of the month in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Yishmak. We have Rabbi Leitner. Who else do we have here? That's it. Everybody else. We have some. Oh no, not a guest. Anybody else? Oh, what's your name?
David Hirsch.
David Hirsch from? Woodmere. Shalom Aleichem. Also, I'll consider it a landsman. Are you new? Last night. That's right, you are. I know you're also from the 5 towns. 5 towns. That's right. Okay, Rabbi says, so we have to go back and finish the 4 lines on Lamed Ches Amud Beis. We've never done this, but there's always a first. Like 10 lines from the bottom. Or of Nachman. 720. Let's see. Let's enjoy this. It's geschmack. Agadita. I did it on purpose. Or of Nachman. If you know how to answer an apikoris like Revidis, then answer. Leilui, loy lahadir. If you don't know how to answer, don't answer. Don't mess it up. Omar Omina Ravidis. I'll give you an example. Apikoris answer Ravidis. Siv el Moshe Omar Alei Hashem. And to Moshe he said, go up to Hashem. Leilui. If Hashem is talking, come up to me. Mibaylei. Omerlei zeu matratrin sheshmoi kashem rabbi. So this is incredible. You never think of such an answer. And it's again, it's possible. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe it's a way to just push him away. But you should know, yeah, you know what? It's somebody else. It's not Hashem. It's matatron. It's the same name. Sheshmoi kashem rabbi. D'chsiv kishmi bikir boy. Listen to this pshat. Look at this. Matatron is 314. Check this out. Without any koilos or anything. Mamish, 314. And Shakai is 314. So Shmi Bikir Boy. My name is within him. Maybe we should worship him. Ksiv, Al Tamir Boy. Don't exchange him. Al Tamireni Boy. Rabbi say. Yeah, Daf Lamed Ches Amud Beis, 10 lines from the bottom. Imkain lo yisel v'sheichem l'amali. So what good is he? Amalei v'nusa b'yadon dafilu b'pervanko nami lo yikabilno. We don't even allow him to be a shliach. D'chsiv hayomer ilov im ein ponecha hoilchim. So Moshe said im ein ponecha hoilchim. All right, Rabbi say, here we go. We start a brand new parak now. Daf Mem Amud Aleph. You could do that for us. We have a long Mishnah here. It takes up the whole Amud. It's a continuation of the previous parak. We know that when you have witnesses, you have to interrogate them. What do you ask them? There's b'dikos and there's chakiros. The chakiros are important. You cannot mess up on the chakiros. The b'dikos you can mess up on. But we have a machloikis. How many chakiras? What kind of questions? 7 or 3? You're a guest, no? Please still guess. What's your name again? From? Bet Shemesh. Shalom Aleichem. They would interrogate with 7 different questions. What are the questions? Be'ezah shavua. So this is super interesting, and it gets even more interesting. The Yovel is made out of 50 years, 49, 50 years. I want to know what part of the Yovel, what 7 years within the 50 years are you talking about? Is it this Shemitah? Is the previous Shemitah? Is it 49 years ago? How long ago? So first I need to know what part of the Shemitah. What Shemitah? Beis Shavuot, what Shemitah within the 7 Shemitahs that are in a Yovel? Beis Shana. Now that I know which Shemitah you're talking about, give me the year. Not every time that somebody comes and say it happened yesterday. Sometimes there's a edus about something that happened 35 years ago. Beis Chodesh, within that year, I need to know what month. Bekama b'Chodesh, what date of the month. Beis Yom. Now, because if I ask you, let's say, when was Chaf Tevis? Chaf Tevis, when was that? Last week, when? How? What day? Anybody? What were you doing on Chaf Tevis, I ask you? What was going on Chaf Tevis? But if I ask you, what were you doing on Monday, last Monday, you might know, you might remember, at a wedding, this, that, Mondays. So we ask a follow-up question. Beis Yom. Last week, Chaf Tevis was a Monday. But people don't really know dates. They rather deal with the day of the week, I guess. Beis Shah. What hour? Beis Makom. And what place? So hours they used to know based on the sun. Okay, so within the hour they could get it. Beis Makom is super important because everything has to do with Hazama. Could I be mazim them? Could I bring Eidim to prove that these Eidim are false? And the number one thing is Imanu Yisem, you were with us in this place. So Beis Makom is very important. Beis Yomer, Beis Yoim, Beis Shah, Beis Makom. Only 3 things do we ask them: what day, what time, and where. Then we ask, Makir Matim Oisoi, do you know the guy? You trace him by? Did you warn him? Did you give him a sra? So you tell a guy, let's say you tell him, if you do this and this, if you Mechal Shabbos, you'll get Misa. Do you have to tell him what Misa? You have to tell him what Misa. You have to say you get Skila. If you don't say that, boom. Let's say you gave him a Hasra, and you said if you Mechal Shabbos, you get Misa. So he says, okay, I want to be Mechal Shabbos. 5 minutes later, he's Mechal Shabbos. Is that Hasra good, or you have to be a little closer? Is 5 minutes too much? Huh? What do you say, Ari? You learned many Masechtas and you know them al peh. What do you say? No. This is crazy. It has to be Toich Kidei Dibur.
I was just thinking that. I'm serious, I was.
Esmi Ovad Ubame Ovad. It's not enough to say, oh, this guy did Avodah Zarah. What name? Who? What religion? What thing? And how? There's different ways. These are all b'dikas. Esmi, what, how? These are b'dikas. Now, the more you do, the merrier. We had this already in our Masechta. Ukseteinim are the stems that come off. Here, check this out. You see the stems? Were they the thicker ones? Were they thinner? What's going on here? What halachic nafkamina is there between a chakir and a bedika? Chakir is echad any day do some material. Question: you have a chakira. In the chakira, you have 10 Eidim come forward and say, we saw a murder take place. Okay, we start interviewing these Eidim. One of the Eidim, 1 out of the 10 says. They ask him what day of the week what was it, and he goes, I don't know. So it says in the Mishnah, Edusam Betela. Is it referring to his Eidos, the other guy's Eidos? Who is Batal? He doesn't know. All 10? All 10 are Batal. That's the answer. All 10. If you cannot be Mazim 1, because he doesn't know one of the 7 questions, you can't be Mazim any of them. Batal.
No, 2 Eidim is enough to...
Correct. But now they're together, they're in a group. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's the chiddush here. 2 is enough. But right now they're all together. They're lumped as a group, and one of them is gone. All of them are gone. Peloploy. B'dika is, but when it comes to b'dika, if one says, I don't know. And even if 2 come along and say, we don't know, There was only two Eidim. And they both say, we don't know. They asked him, how thick was the stem of the fig? We don't know. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Eidusim kayemes. It's a good Eidus. But if they contradict each other, let's say this one says it was a thicker stem, and this one says it was a thinner, then do not contradict each other. If you don't know, that's okay. But don't contradict. One says it was the second day of the month, and the other one says it was the third day of the month. Then it's okay. Why? I could explain it away that this guy didn't know that Rosh Chodesh was on a different day. He didn't realize that they made a 30-day month. He thought it was a 29-day month.
So is that not good for later in the month? When by then you should know? Or?
No. I think it's just an example. 2, 3. It could be no. People don't really schmooze about it. When was the last time you schmoozed somebody about, you know what day it is today, right now in the month? You don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's dafkas 2 and 3. But if the difference is 2 days, edusim betela, then it's batal. Then there's no excuses. You should have known. If one guy says it happened 2 hours into the day, so right now, how many hours are we into the day right now? 1 hour into the day. Like what? Nets is like 6:40ish. So we're 1 hour into the day. 1 hour. So the guy says it happened 2 hours into the day at 8:30. Another guy says 9:30. The further, how far could they be from each other? About 2 hours. This guy can say in the beginning of the second hour. He says at the end of the third, it's a 2 hour difference. If one says in the third hour of the day, another one says 5, then it's too far away. It could be a 3 hour difference. Then it's batal. Rabbi Yehuda says it's okay. But if one says 5, one says 7, edusam betela. Then there's no edus. Shebechamesh, chamo shebamizrach. The sun is in the east. Ubesheva, chamo b'mayrav. You need to know this stuff. You should realize that the sun is in the west versus in the east. The Rosh Hashiva comes very late to the wedding, very late to the Chuv. He's in Masad Kedushin. Everybody's waiting. Everybody's upset. What's going on here? So he comes and he apologizes. He says, listen, it says in the Mishnah, you make a mistake with hours. You can make a mistake with hours. I'm within reason. Then the Mechutin didn't like it. So he went, instead of putting him at the front table, he put him like with all the Amaratzim on the side. So he says, was is das? I'm moicha my covered. The guy said, I made a mistake. Pasha made a mistake. He says, no. You can make a mistake about hours, but you're not allowed to make a mistake between Mizrach and Ma'ariv. That you don't make a mistake. Zog the Gemara. I heard that. For those of you, the Rav goes in the Mizrach, yeah? Okay. Great. So we interviewed one aide, you bring the next guy. If everything lines up, we learned a lot of this is chazara, a lot of it's chazara. Everything lines up. So now you start off everything to see if we can find him not guilty. That's how you start, not guilty. In a capital case. So let's think about what we learned. Rabbi said we learned this. Can one of the Eidim testify on behalf of the defendant? Anybody remember?
No.
I'll remind you. I'll remind you. No, zechus you can't. The problem is that a aid is negeh b'davar, he's biased. Why? Because if a aid, you could be mazim him, you could put him to death. If he sees that it's no good, it's going in the wrong direction, he finds out that the people are going to come and put him, are going to be mazim him, so he's going to look for a way to get this guy out of the death penalty, and then he won't be chayiv misa. So he's negeh b'davar. Of course he's going to want to find the zechus. Once in a while he's going to want to find the zechus. That we learned. We're doing chazara now. Oh, this is what you meant. If one of the Talmidim comes, I don't remember, but I think it was like on top of Amud Aleph somewhere, if you're looking for it. No, for real. Where was it? Maybe not. I don't know. What?
Rashi says Lamed Dalon.
Oh, Rashi says it. Givaldik. Oh, Yechiel min Talmidim. Yesh li Lamed Chayva. If one of the Talmidim comes and says, I found something to find him guilty, Mishatkin, you say both. We shut up the aid can't talk, and the Talmud can't talk. If the Talmud wants to bring a zechus, great, not a chayv. But if one of the Talmidim says, I have a zechus for this guy, I can find him not guilty. Here, this is just an example. It doesn't mean one of all these Talmidim that are sitting here. So he says, he raises his hand. I have a reason to believe that he's not guilty. We add another seat over there, and we make him part of the Dayanim. Now you have 24 Dayanim. This guy, it doesn't have. It could be even. It could be even. It starts off uneven. We saw that it could be even once in a while. If one of the Eidim says, I don't know, so we put him on the side, and we add how many do we add? 2, so it's even. And he sits there the entire day. In other words, even if he's wrong, we don't take him out. We live in the covet. Once he's up there, we don't take him away. If he's right about what he's saying, it seems like from the Mishnah that we listen to him, we take his words into account. He's one of the, he gets a vote. Although there's some Rishonim that say not like that. What if the murderer himself says, listen to me, I have reason here, I could prove to you I'm not guilty? We listen to him. He's not hacking a China. He's real, he's saying some good stuff. And if they found a zechus, then the guy goes scot-free. If we can't find that he's not guilty, so what do? This we learned also. Halonas hadin. What does halonas hadin mean, Rabbi Isai? So I kept on saying, you sleep on it. It's probably a mistake. You have to erase what I said. I misspoke. See, I didn't get here. I'm a ratzis. Seems like from the Mishnah. You tell me. I think I'm wrong. I thought it means to sleep on it. What it really means is wait the entire night. Sleep might not be what he does. It says like this. Each person gets a chavrusa. You put them 2, and they go back and forth, and they talk about it the whole day. They don't eat that much. They just schmooze about the case. Somebody's about to die here. This is a capital punishment case. This is terrible. We got to be serious. They can't drink wine. Drink wine, you're not thinking straight. Now, according to Rashi, you deliberate. Kol halayla with who? Not with the chavrusa, with yourself. So you're going to sleep. It doesn't seem like you're going to sleep here. You don't go to sleep. You don't sleep on it. Bazok, what does he say over there?
No, it doesn't say that, but it says over here in the Machot Mashkim, it's Mashkim, is he getting up?
No, you could say no. He goes early to the bezdin, real early, 6 o'clock in the morning. He's at the bezdin.
Usually a lashon of getting up in the morning. Usually.
Yeah.
Usually.
So explain what does noisin v'noisin kol halayla. In your dreams, in your sleep, what does it mean?
He was tossing and turning. Thinking about it.
I would like to be right. I would like to. I am wrong. Hamazat.
That he was nice between himself.
Yeah.
Rama says that the zugas, they were the whole.
Machlok is the Rambam and Rashi.
What zugas? There's no zugas though. Oh, you mean the Rambam argues on Rashi? Okay, so according to the Rambam, for sure they were up the whole night. He says there was a zugas kol halayla.
Rambam says both. He says, or he says that.
But it's kol halayla. Kol halayla says it. Well, the bezdin, you get up early. You go to. He said get up. You go early to the bezdin. We had this lashon. A lot of this we already brought. The Gemara brings from this mission. The what? I held he's not guilty, and I continue saying he's not guilty. I'm sticking with my guns. I was always saying that he's guilty, and I still hold he's guilty. He could flip from guilty to not guilty. But the one who says that he's not guilty cannot flip and say that he's guilty. So what do we explain? What does it mean? Only in the beginning of the day, when they're still deliberating. But later on, when there's the psak din, of course you can switch back. You have to be real. You have to be true. Let's say they made a mistake. He comes back to the bezdin the next day. He says, I said he's not guilty. No, you didn't say he's not guilty. I'll prove it to you. You bring out the videotape or you bring out the sofer, and he says, look, you said yesterday like this. If they found that he's not guilty, then the guy goes, oh, finished, he's parted. But if they found that he's guilty, we have to count. We have to take a vote. In order to have a good vote, what do we need? We need the guilty has to be 2 more than the non-guilty. The non-guilty has to be 1 more than the guilty, if you want to say that he's not guilty. Here's a nice chiddush. Let me ask you, here, think about this for a second, before we look in the Mishnah. The bezdin comprises 23 people. Let's say 22 say that he's guilty, and 1 says, I don't know. Guilty or not guilty? Think about it. All you need is a majority plus 2. Over here, it's not just a majority. You have 22. Everybody besides 1 who says, I don't know. Guilty or not guilty? What do you say? I just want to hear, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty. Everybody agrees not guilty? Why? Oh.
The one that doesn't know doesn't
Good. All right, very good. Good.
If it's completely unanimous, it's not guilty, it gets off.
Huh?
If it's completely unanimous to convict, it gets off.
No. Oh.
Don't we say that?
We did say that. They have to go back and find, something's wrong,
Was unanimous 22 minus 1? Is that just what happened?
Oh, so I'm going to explain. That's what Gil said. Gil said 22 minus 1 is 0. You need a bezdin of 23. I don't know means I'm not part of the bezdin. Not part of the bezdin. You don't have 23. In order to convict, you need 23. 22 said he's guilty? No. So that's the Mishnah. Let's see. Let me take a vote. You have 1 more not guilty than guilty. 12 say not guilty. 11 say guilty. What's the halacha? Zakai, because all you need to do is have the majority by 1. But on the flip side, 12 say guilty. And 11 say not guilty, so that you're only guilty by 1. That's not enough. If you have 11 and 11, and this is the bigger chiddush. 22 say he is not guilty. That's how I should have asked it. Not guilty. Then I would have gotten you. 22 say not guilty. Or guilty. One of the 23 says, I don't know. So that's not a bezdin. So if it's not a bezdin, what do? You have to add another 2. See here? So if you have 22, because now you minus 1 and you add 2, Judah, how many do you have? That's 24. 22 plus 2 is 24, and that's an even number. That he just spoke about. We said that it's a problem. Mezakin? Yeah, that should be okay. That should be more than okay. How many do you add? Shnayim, you add 2, and what if there's still 1, you add 2, and 1 says guilty and 1 says not guilty, so now you're at the same place. So you add another 2. Until what? Until you get to 71, you can't go over 71. If you have 36 against 35 for not guilty, zakai. Great, you have 1 more. Guilty by 1, that's not enough. So what do? You have to sit there and deliberate until you convince one of them to change. Otherwise, you sit there forever. I don't know what happens. Deadlock.
71 angry men. I call angry men.
I don't know about these things. So,
What's your name? Henry?
now let me ask you something. And also the opposite way. So you have 37 versus 34. You beat them by 3. That's okay. You can't do 2. It's impossible. So 3. So let me ask you a question. Why does it say in the Mishnah, Ad shirech min hamachayvim divrei mezakin? The Mishnah should also say, Ad shirech divrei hamachayvim. Why not? Why is the Mishnah only talking about a mezakim?
The majority is 2 to convict is.
Oh, a minute. Let somebody else answer over here. What do you say? Huh? No. Come on. We learned this. We learned this. Rabbi said Chazara.
Don't change your mind over the Mizrahi.
We do. We do. We have to change minds. And if we have 3 more that say chayev, then the guy is guilty. But why doesn't the Mishnah mention it? Because we learned that the Mishnah is saying a nice lashon. The Mishnah is talking in a nice way. It applies also to chayev, but the Mishnah just mentions zakai. This is all chazara Rabbi Yisai. Zok Tehele Gemara. Minani Mili. How do I know that there are 7 questions? Omer Rabbi Yehuda, because it's in the pasuk. Damakro, v'darashta v'chakarta v'shalta heitev. So let me show you. It's beautiful stuff. We have 3 parishes here. Ir Adi Dachas is a city that most of the city did avodah zarah. And what do? We burn out the city, including all the belongings. And it says in that pasuk, v'darashta, that's 1 question. V'chakarta, that's 2 questions. V'shalta heitev, those 2 words together, is 3 questions. That's by Ir Adi Dachas. By regular avodah zarah, an individual did avodah zarah, it says vuga l'cha v'shamata v'darashta heitev. That's 2 questions. So total 5. And by edim hazama, by edei hazama, it says v'darshu hashoiftim heitev. It's another 2 questions. A total of 7. Says the Gemara Menani Milo Rabbi Yehuda Amakro v'darashtu chakak d'shalta heitev. V'oimer, and it says vuga l'cha v'shamata v'darashta heitev. V'oimer v'darshu hashoiftim heitev. Give valdik. So we total of 7. Ask the Gemara Daf Amud Beis. Let me just say Berkovici for a second. Where's Berkovici? He's in the wrong spot. Oh.
Champions and Citrifil. Oh yeah.
Zok the Gemara. Turn of the Daf. Berkovici family in honor of MDY Daf champions Leo, Shamshi Shlafrak, and Uncle Freddie and Mr. Gross. And the Refuah statement of our fearless leader in chief, Chaim Gavril Ben Sivilano, by the members of the Muncie Fire Department, and Yaakov Sidron of Strategic Video Production. Yaakov, Shalom Aleichem, Yaakov. He's here.
Mazel tov to our fearless leader.
No, this is a Kriyas Hashem. Oh no, we're not holding it. Ask the Gemara. Take a look at these psukim again. Why not? Geshmak. Maybe when it comes to Yerin Dachas, he asked him 3 questions. When it comes to avodah zarah, he asked 2 questions. When it comes to Azam, he asked 2 questions. Who told you to combine them all together and make it 7? And I'll prove it to you. I'll ask you a question. It should say all 7 lashonos in 1 pasuk by 1. And then the way it works is, if it says in 1 pasuk in 1 parsha, then you learn it to the rest of the Torah. Says the Gemara, "Kivin the kulu bahadei adodi chsivan mahadodi alfi." Since each one is written like that, so you learn mahadodi alfi. The kivin, the alfi mahadodi, kiman d'chsiv b'chadodami. Since you're learning each one by itself, it's as if it's all written together. What is going on here? So Rashi says, Koloimar. He's not very happy with this, but he says, Koloimar, the kivin the bekulu kasabu the bodrisha v'yishvaisam laha milsa. Since in each one of the 3 parshas it says that you have to ask questions. Al karchach ma'adodi alfin. So we're forced to say that you learn one from the other. Litin is ha'omer shel zeh b'zeh. Why does the Torah say 3 times maybe? To say that we learn from all 3 of them, and we combine all 3 for a total of 7. Ask the Gemara, v'lidami la'adodi. It would be great if they're all equal, but each one has reason we have reason to believe that each one has a certain chumrah that the other one doesn't have. Now, this might be a little bit counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense. We learned about a masis, a guy that tries to convince somebody else to do avodah zarah. We learned there's some very interesting halachas. We don't care. We could start with chayiv. We could do all sorts of things with him. We try to kill him as fast as possible. We don't have any rachmanas on him. What does that tell us? That the more severe his Aveira, the less we try to get him off the hook, right? That makes sense. Very severe Aveira is trying to get people to do Avodah Zarah, we don't care. So, if you had a choice to interrogate the Edom, you have a guy that's a Mason, he's a Ovid Avodah Zarah, interrogate them very, very heavy, ask them many questions or fewer questions. What would be your choice? Fewer. Oh, Givaldik, fewer. The worse the Aveira, the fewer the questions. Okay, so that being said, says the Gemara, so let me tell you that Irani Dachas, Simin, Poli, Tzai, Vasra, Irani Dachas is super, super extreme. A whole city is doing Avodah Zarah, a rave of the city is doing Avodah Zarah. Irani Dachas is much more severe than Avodah Zarah and Azama. I'll prove it to you. Shekem Amon and Palat. You destroy all their belongings. It's crazy. And Memela what? Perhaps Irani Dachas only gets 3 questions, where Avodah Zarah and Azama should get how many? 7. The more severe it is, you get less questions. Let's not try to trip up these Edom. Let's try to get these Edom through and then kill the whole Irani Dachas. Ask them 3 simple questions. Let's go. Let's get moving here. I could also argue Avodah Zarah is very severe, and therefore it's very severe. It should get only 2 questions, and everybody else should get 7. Why 2 versus 3? Because in the pasuk of Avodah Zarah only says for the Rash Teitev. 2 questions. Shekain b'sayif. What's b'sayif? Who gets a sword? Not Avodah Zarah. It's a little tricky. The Gemara does this twice in a row. Shekain b'sayif referring to the other 2. Hazama and Irani Dachas gets the sword, which is less than Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah gets what? Skila. Skila is more severe. Let's just think for a second, because Rashi points this out. What does Hazama get? What does Hazama get? Kashazamam. So sometimes the Hazama guy could get Skila. If he's trying to put somebody to death, he says, oh, this guy's Michal Shabbos and he's lying. We find out that he wasn't even in Israel then, he was in America. So we put him to death through stoning. So what are you telling me? Hazama has Saif. Okay, anyway, Hazama could have Saif, says Rashi. It's not always is it Skila, sometimes it's Saif. So Memela, it's less severe. So therefore, maybe, who told you that Avodah Zarah gets 7 questions? Maybe Avodah Zarah gets only 2. And now on the flip side, did you know this? Do you have to warn the Edi Hazama that if you do Hazama and we find out that you're lying, we will put you to death? Does anybody have to warn them? No. The answer is no. 2 chidushim today, Ari. 2 chidushim. At least that you made it to me. Listen to this. Not the Eidi Zayimim, Rabbi Isai. Don't read it wrong. Shekain Tzrichim Hazam is referring to the other 2 things, Avodah Zarah and Irani Dachas. You have to warn the city, hey, if you do Avodah Zarah, we're going to put you to death. Avodah Zarah, you have to warn the guy. But Eidei Asra, Be'eidei Hazama, you don't have to warn them. Why not? Listen to this. Says Rashi, Shekain Tzarch Asra Hanach Tarti. Avodah Zarah and Irani Dachas. Mashein came Edim Zayimim. Edim Zayimim don't need Asra. Why not? Says Rashi, beautiful. Kasher Zamam. You have to treat him exactly like he wanted to treat the other guy. And he never warned the other guy. How do I know I didn't warn the other guy? Because it never happened. You can't warn somebody about something that never happened. He made up a story that the guy was Michal Shabbos. So obviously there's no Hasra. He never was Michal Shabbos, so no one ever warned him that he can't be Michal Shabbos. So therefore you wanted to put him to death. Without warning, we're going to put you to death without warning. It's a tremendous chiddush. It's like a great riddle. Which Aveir in the Torah gets Misa, you put him to death without warning. Now we know. Eidim Zayimim. I would think, since Eidim Zayimim, each one has another chumrah. It's so severe, Eidim Zayimim, that maybe you only ask them 2 questions, put these guys to death quickly. The other 2 maybe need 7 questions. Who told you that all 3 need 7 questions? Says Gemara, you're right. As is, I would never know. But guess what? There's something called Exeris Shava. Each one of these psukim has a word that matches the other two psukim. And what is the word? Heitiv. Heitiv is Gzeir Shav, it's a common denominator of all three psukim, and Melai learn one from the other. Now, Rabbi Yisai, don't get too nervous here, it's only for 10 lines. We move on to another sugya. But when it comes to Gzeir Shav, that Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, sometimes there's a debate, did he really give that? Who said he gave those words? You can't make up a Gzeir Shav, it says Heitiv, Heitiv. This Hashem gave to Moshe Rabbeinu. There's something called mufna. It has to be extra. The word has to be there for this purpose to make a Gzeir Shava. But if it's a necessary word, then I can knock off this Gzeir Shava in a second. How would I knock it off? I just told you how to knock it off. I just gave you 3 reasons to knock off the Gzeir Shava. Hazama doesn't need asra. Irani dachas is beskila. Avodah zara is I don't remember what. Each one we had a different question, right? No, that was something else. Skila, that's it on Avodah Zara. In Irani Dachas is Mamoy Polat. Okay, that's what it was. Avodah Zara has the more severe Misa. You give him Skila, so Mamela he's not part of this Gzeir Shava. Or I could say Irani Dachas, you burn all their money, so he's not part of this Gzeir Shava. Or I could say Bahazama, you don't have to give him Asra, so he's not part. But if I have an extra word called Heitev, if it's Pashat extra, then you can never answer anything on it. It's strong, it's solid, there's no answers. So the Gemara says, and that's the lashon of the Gemara, don't get nervous, it's very simple. Beheitev heitev yafinu ma'adadi is Gzeir Shava, you learn heitev heitev. Ugzeir Shava mufna, you should know that these words heitev are extra. And therefore, the loy mufna, because it's not, if it wasn't extra, then I could ask one of these 3 questions. Lai, meaning MS, true, it's extra. I'll prove it to you. If no imafni, it's actually extra. By Edim Zoimimim, it should have said, if I could find it, I don't remember where it is, hold on. Oh. By Avodah Zarah, it should have said, V'derashta v'chakarta. You see? What's this heitev? V'derashta heitev. Say it the way it is. V'derashta v'chakarta, like you say by Hazama. So that one is extra. V'shani krabi diburei beheitev. Oh no, no, here, yeah, by Hazama, here, like this. I changed it this morning. Okay, good. With the Havalei Lemichtav, by Hazama, it should say V'darshu v'chakru. V'shani krabi diburei beheitev. And the Torah used the word, the last word on the bottom left corner, where it says v'chakarta, the Torah uses heitev. The fact that the Torah used heitev instead of chakarta, that shows to me that the word is extra. But it's only 1 out of the 3 is extra. You're right. Avodah Zarah and Azama, let's do it here. I'm going to click, check it out. By Avodah Zarah also, it says v'derashta heitev. It could have said v'derash v'chakarta. By Azama, it should have said v'darshu v'chakarta. By Azama, it should have said v'darshu v'chakarta. So 2 out of the 3, I agree with you, the word heitev is extra, and it's a great Gzeir Shava. Elo irani dachas, the top one, my havalei lemichtav. It's telling us, the top pasuk is telling us there's 3 questions. So it says, v'darash v'chakarta. I already used the v'darash v'chakarta. Of course it says heitev. Heitev is telling me that there's a 3rd question. So it's not extra. My havalei lemichtav, haksiva kulo. It already says v'darash v'chakarta. So the word heitev is telling me, not that it's extra for Gzeir Shava, the word heitev is telling me that there's another question here. So the Gemara says, no, it is extra, and then we're going to be done with this, don't worry. Here, these are the 3 options. It says in the pasuk, that's what we have on the top. What it could have said is, use the same exact lashon, use it twice. Or why did you say the way we say, like in the top line, v'chakarta? And the Torah use the word heitev. Shema mino lafnui is coming to say that it's extra. That's the end of the sugya. Now a new sugya. Hold on. All questions, let's hold now. Now that I know What do we have so far? We have people that are killed with the sword, and we have people that are killed with stoning. We ask them 7 questions. Who are the people that get killed with stoning? Abedazara. Who are the people that get killed with the sword? What about the other Mises Bezin? What about Sreifa? What about Chenek? How do you know that somebody that's chayiv those Mises, you have to ask them 7 questions? It's a simple, I hear. Maybe that's what Rashi talks about actually in this case. Now it's obvious. If skilo, which is super chamor, you ask 7 questions. I want to do away with this guy. He's a bad guy. He gets skila. I should really ask him less questions. If I ask him a lot of questions, so certainly anyone that has less of a misa, an easier misa, we should certainly ask him the same amount of questions. Not less, maybe more, because it's less of a misa, right? We said before, the more chamer it is, the less questions you ask. And skilus, the most chamer. So if it's the most chamer and you ask 7 questions, so anything below it also gets 7 questions. So Gemara, that's great if you say that skila is more chamer than sreifa, like the Tanakama. If skila is the top, is the worst of the worst, and you still ask 7 questions, so anything below skila also gets 7 questions. But what if you hold like Reb Shimon, that skila is not the worst? Skila is less than sreifa. So how do I know that somebody that's burnt, that he eats the hot molten, drinks the hot molten, how do you know that person gets 7 questions? You're right. A new pshat in Gansen. It says in the pasuk, "V'hinei emes nachain." How many words are here? 2. V'hinei is not a word. And behold, emes nachain. So we have 2. And then it says again, "V'hinei emes nachain," another 2. So how many do we have total? 4. 4 plus 7. The 7 the words that we have, the Rashi of Chakarta. So 4 plus 7 equals 11. Hochatzrei, that's 11. Sheva Chakir, so 7 comes for the Chakirs that we spoke in the Mishnah. Dat last Gzeir Shava. And 3 Emes Nachains, that's for the Gzeir Shava. Pashul Chada. So now we have extra word. What do we do with the extra word? The Rav Shimon Lasui and Nisrafim. So this is where I know that people that are burnt, you ask them 7 questions from extra word. And what about Rabbanan? Now they have extra word and we already know it. Because Rabbanan say Skila is the most chomer. So you learn Kavachomer from Skila to Sreifa. Yeah, is this confusing? Simple, super simple. I know that skilo you ask 7 questions on the left. So anything under skilo gets 7 questions because skilo is the most chomer. So then why do I need an extra word? Hinei emes. The answer is, you're right, you don't need it. The Rabbanim, sometimes the Torah just repeats itself, even though it's something that you could logically figure out. With the Kavachomer, the Torah goes ahead and talks about it. Ask the Gemara a bomb question. Megadev baribavo. How do you know Sreifa gets 7 questions according to Reb Shimon? We have an extra word, emes nachan. Wait a minute. How do you know that there's 7 questions? Because I have 7 words. But now I have 8 words. So in fact, you should ask 8 questions, not 7 questions. Drop Sreifa. Say Sreifa doesn't get any questions. But the skila and the sayif, they should get 8 questions. Who told you that 7 questions? Yeah? You don't know anything. You know that how many questions do you ask? Based on a pasuk. The 7 words in the pasuk, you have 7 questions. And if there's 8 words in the pasuk, 8 extra words, so you ask 8 questions. Who told you that there's 7 questions? The Gemara says, that's a very nice kasha. But what are you going to ask the guy? What else can you possibly ask him? We already asked him, what part of Yovel was it? What 7 years this Shmuel? What year, what month, what day, what hour? You already asked 7 questions. What else could you add? What hour you even asked them? What minute of the hour? Was it 12 o'clock or 12:32? I'll prove it to you from the Brisa. In fact, in the Brisa it says you do ask him 8 questions. It says Gemara, well, it depends. According to Abaya in Remeir, that a person doesn't make a mistake at all, even he's very careful to the minute, so you can ask him such a question. A few minutes, great. Shapir. Ella by Ali the Rabbi Yehuda, that's Remeir. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, Damar Adam Toya Chatzi Shah, there's a story, I'll throw it out there. Somebody asked the Rabbi Yehuda if he could tell him over a pilpul that he said. He made a pilpul, in those days, people used to make pilpulim. According to this, it comes out that, and this, and that, the whole thing. So the Rabbi Yehuda listens. He says, well, your whole pilpul doesn't go not according to Remeir, not according to Rabbi Yehuda. He says, what are you talking about? He says, Sanhedrin Daf Mem Amud Beis says, Machloikis, if a person makes a mistake in minutes or in hours, but you're making a mistake already for days, this is all shtusim what you're saying. This doesn't go according to, okay, fine.
The fact that it's machlokes here in this point is very ironic because the whole machlokes is did he make a mistake in a little bit of. Here's a machlokes in Bechla what the Rebbe said in Abaya. The whole thing is a machlokes in you see mamish nafkaminas and how people look at it. They're arguing over a minute, and the whole thing is a machlokes.
Okay, but that's what I heard, what I didn't hear. This is mamish time. At what time did you see the murder?
They have the precision of minutes then.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, they had.
Which are maybe down to an hour, maybe. That's my question.
When you live like that your whole life, and when the sun is exactly here, this is mamish. This is 10:45.
They'll argue on this.
I hear. I know. By the way, it's not minutes that we have. It's the day divided by 12, so it could be. I don't know. Could be worse. Yeah, I hear. Good kasha. But according to Rav, that says that people make a big mistake, like the Rona is trying to say that they weren't very accurate with the minutes. So why would you ask him what minute of the hour was it? I need to know what year of the Yovel it is. It was the 39th year. So Gemara, you already discussed that before. You said what 7-year lump? There's the Yovel. 49 years is 50 years broken into 7 pieces of 7. You already asked him which part of the 7. So you already discussed what year of the Yovel is. And then he said what year it was. So I know exactly what year of the Yovel it is. Ella, this is unbelievable. Ella la suye be'ezi Yovel. What Yovel? Here. What is that?
Your Honor, 90 years ago, we saw a guy wearing shleikis and a blue shirt.
Kids, sir, what Yovel? Was it this Yovel or the last Yovel? Okay, that's crazy. Once a guy says what Shemitah it is, he's not waiting 50 additional years to come forward and testify about something. He already said what part of the Yovel it is. Obviously, he's talking about this Yovel, not the previous one. Rabbi Yosef said you ask him only 3 questions. They ask him a good kasha. Somebody says, I saw a murder yesterday. So think about it. You're going to start asking, yeah, but what Shemitah was it? What year was it? Yesterday, I said. Waste the questions, what you're asking me. I said yesterday. What part of the Yovel was it? Beis Shana, what year? Beis Chodesh, what month? Bekama b'Chodesh. I just told you yesterday. And you're better than us? Okay, you ask only 3 questions, but your question is also silly. And what if a guy says, I'm walking out. The guy is still moving. The dead guy, he's still goisesing. You're going to ask him what day? Beis Shah, what hour? Beis Makom. I just told you outside of Bezin, he's dead. The obvious. The reason why we ask him all these questions is we try to make the guy mishuga. We put him in the interrogation room for 6 hours. We made him sweat it out. Then we ask him this. Like the Gemara said, we take him from one place to another place. We keep on moving him around. We want to mess up his mind so that when he talks, we know that what he's saying is true. So we ask him dumb questions also. What Yovel? The guy gets nervous because he starts losing it. What do you ask me such silly questions? And he starts getting upset. Oh, now the truth is going to come out. So the same svara over here also. You don't need all these questions, but we want to mess him up a little bit. Rabbi Yosef doesn't agree with that. So you ask me, why do I ask the question, what day? I just said it happened right now outside of Bezin. That a person saw a murder, walks into Bezin, that's not common. Most of the time it was last week, so therefore I have to know what day. You hear what's going on here? According to Rabbanon, I ask him crazy questions, even though they don't make any sense, just to mess him up. Rabbi Yossi holds I don't want to mess him up. I don't like Rabbi Shimon. So in fact, if I just said I saw a murder a minute ago, so I'm not going to start asking him funny questions. What day? Then I'll take off those questions. I only ask questions that are negel b'davar. Negel davar. Negel davar is if it happened last week. Okay, what day of the week? I want to know. Rabbi say, have a wonderful day.